If you are a dancer and you are listening right now, this part is for you. Feeling envious when a friend gets the role you wanted, it's normal. It does not make you a bad person. It just means you care, you wanted it, and that's a good thing. Auditions, casting, roles assigned for the recital, it is a stressful time for every dancer and for every parent who wants the best for their kids. Your dancer just found out her best friend got the lead.
And what do you say to that child? What do you do when your first instinct, honestly, is to say, hey, my child should have gotten that? And today we're talking about one of the most specific and the most loaded situations in your young dancer's life.
Stay until the end. We're going to give you a 3-step framework to deal with this situation. So when I was studying dance, the school choreographers got to pick which dancers they wanted to work with. The contemporary teacher could choose and the jazz teacher. And whoever was not chosen would work with the guest choreographer. When I saw the cast list, I realized I was grouped with the guest choreographer. Right then, at that moment, I felt both teachers didn't want me, and I was jealous and envious, and I felt rejected. But then something unexpected happened, because actually working with that guest choreographer, his name was Thomas, was an amazing experience, and it opened up new doors. And I remember that first I felt rejected, but then afterwards it was like as if a doorway opened, and it gave a whole new meaning to my dance journey.
Yeah, and it's something that that happens in most studios, and parents need to understand this. When we cast a show with lead roles and a double role, those two dancers will be rehearsing in the same studio, of course, and they'll be with each other for quite a long time, watching each other, especially if it's a double role, they'll be following the lead role. And what I've seen over the years is that how a dancer handles that depends almost entirely on the culture of the studio and the mindset of the dancer, of course. And a lot of that comes from home.
Oh, and by the way, if you like this type of content, could we ask you to like and subscribe on your platform of choice? And just write in the comments your questions or reflections. We promise to read and answer every one of them. Alice in Wonderland is one of our most recent choreographies. It was on scene, just a month ago. And the lead role was chosen. Her close friends were not in that role. And those friends came to us and they said genuinely, without bitterness, she worked so hard for this. She deserves it. And Alice had always been the dancer who pushed the people around her every week, every class, with real warmth. It's not just luck that her friends felt that way.
Yeah.
For her and are happy for her.
Yeah. Of course, you see the other version also that sometimes, dancers feel this resentment that quietly takes root, and those friendships, they will break apart eventually. And the studio then starts to feel a little bit like a competition, unfortunately. So without meaning to, you might have heard parents also say, hey, you should have gotten that role. I thought you were stronger than the other one. So when a child hears that, they start to slurp it up and they begin to find a way in their brains. And actually, you give the child a permission to resent another person.
Yeah, or their friends. The friend that got the lead role.
Yeah.
And the friendship will start to break.
Yeah. And then there is this parent who might be dismissive, right? So you'll have one who won't allow the child to feel that disappointment. What a pity. You should be, they will say something like, you should be happy for her. She's your friend. That feeling is real for a young dancer. And pretending it is not does not make it go away.
Yeah, so these are the two sides of the same coin. Yeah. The one parent, the first parent you described, is validating the unfairness narrative. It's not fair, injustice kind of scenario. While the other parent is completely shutting the feelings down. And most of us lean towards one or the other based on our own history with rejection.
Yeah, and here's some research that we found. It's called the social comparison theory. Very original. And we measure our worth by comparing ourselves to others, especially when there is no clear objective standard. So, and dance typically is one of those most ambiguous environments that you can put a child into. where feedback is subjective. So when there's a casting, children fill the gap with their own meaning.
Yeah, and the research also shows that how a parent reacts to a setback has more impact on a child's resilience than the child's own reaction in that matter.
So I can imagine that if you want to vent to your partner in the kitchen and your child is upstairs in bed,
You think the child is sleeping.
yeah, and they hear it, of course, or maybe it's something more subtle, like when you roll your eyes when you that teacher's or choreographer's name is mentioned, or even if you say nothing, but your face says it all.
Yeah, you show the disappointment or the unfairness in your face. Because your child is absorbing all of that, they'll notice. And they'll interpret what this moment happened based on what they see you doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility for a parent. And you are probably the most important variable in the whole situation.
So I need to tell you the story. There was this film that I was like dancing in, and I was one of the background dancers, but I had kind of like the lead role. I had to partner up with the lead actress, and we had rehearsed this for about 3 months or something like that, and it was always certain I was going to be dancing with this actress. Come a few minutes before the real take, the director just said, "You there, move over to one side," and someone else just replaced me at that point of time. And there was no real explanation at that point of time. It stung at that moment, of course. I'm not going to pretend, but in my head, I had already pictured how the shot would look like on screen, and for me, yeah, hey, that's my career, and at that moment you feel this tinge. It just stings at that point of time. But you know what? The director also had a picture in his head, and to justify his shot, maybe I didn't fit in that, for whatever reason. But that's his call to make, and it's not mine. And actually, my ego has no place in that decision. So it was okay. It goes, there are ups and downs, and you just have to take in your stride. That's what being, professional is about.
And I guess that's the life of a dancer, that everything is subject to change.
Yeah, like I said, being professional is respecting the director's decision, and because they are like, how do you say it? They are incentivized to do what's best for their choreography.
Yeah, for the piece. As promised, here are the 3 strategies that you can use to talk with your child. The first one is hold the space. It's the hardest thing because it means do nothing. At least the first 24 hours is not just the time to fix it, it's the time to just let it exist. If your child is quiet, just let them be quiet. If your child is upset, that's also fine. You do not need to resolve this today. You can say, it is hard, I can see it hurts. We do not have to talk about it right now, but I am here for you.
Right. And strategy 2 would be to name the feeling. When the dancer is ready to talk about it, there's you can validate their feelings without validating the narrative. So the feeling could be, I am disappointed. I wanted that role, but I wasn't cast for it, and it went to someone else, and that's okay.
But the danger is when your dancer says, I should have gotten it. The teacher made a wrong decision. My friend did not deserve it more than me. And you could say, of course, you're disappointed. It's completely normal, but you do not need to add, and I thought you were better than her, like not space it up.
Yeah, you just say it, I hear you, and that hurts, and your feelings make complete sense. But we have to try and separate. Number 3 is we have to try and separate the friendship from the casting. I compare this to Formula One, when each team has like 2 drivers, but you might think that the competition is with the other teams in the paddock. But actually, every driver knows that the real competitor is actually their teammate. So there's plenty of bad blood. The stakes are high, but equally there are also many friendships. So your friend getting a role has nothing to do with your relationship with them, actually. And if your dancer is in a double cast, the cover role is not a consolation prize, right? I think it's a lead role waiting for its moment, because the most professional thing a young dancer can learn is how to hold a role with full commitment without being the one in the spotlight. So that is a very important skill that will not go unnoticed in the long run.
I'm thinking about Lion King, one of the choreographers we made last month. And the double cast, she worked so hard. And every choreographer saw it, like she kept pushing, although she was not a main role. And the thing is, you do not have the pressure that a lead role dancer will face, because you have the time to grow into that role. The stress factor is much lower. You just have more room to experiment, to develop your skill.
Yeah, and then all the dancers in the studio, well, let's say about 18 or 19, they've been a long time with us now, so they have a much more perspective, and of course they mature over time. You see this happening. So when someone in the group gets the lead role, they're not, this like polite congratulations with a little bit of a dark undertone. That it's actually very real, and they're very proud of each other in a way that is kind of like hard to explain. It's if you haven't ever seen it. And one of them said to us recently, "Hey, my friend worked so hard for this. I am so, so, so happy for them. And she deserves it." And that did not happen by accident. Why? Because it was built over time? Was it?
Yeah, they have that true community feeling, I would say. And they believe that if I get a lead role, I do not take your talent away, or the
it's
other way
true.
around.
Yeah, the dancers who create that culture around them, they're the ones who actually keep like this friendship for after many years of dancing together. And it's almost they keep showing up and they keep pushing each other. And there's this respect that's built up over time, which is actually very beautiful to see.
If you are a dancer and you are listening right now, this part is for you. Feeling envious when a friend gets the role you wanted, it's normal. It does not make you a bad person. It just means you care, you wanted it, and that's a good thing. What matters is what you do next. You can let the friendship get weird, or you can go to them and say, "I was gutted. And I'm also really glad it was you," because those both feelings can be there at the same time.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do, but the dancers who figured that out early are the ones who are going to keep dancing for a very, very long time, because as a professional, you're going to have lots of ups and downs, and it doesn't really matter in the long run. And while your friend is in that lead role, you have something that most people will miss. You have a real front row seat. You get to see how the role will develop. You get to see how they handle that pressure, and what kind of feedback that they get from the director or the choreographer. And these are exactly the same things that you would have to work on. And every week, is a chance in the studio to get better at it and just use that time. I think your moment is going to come. As a dancer, there's always something to work on, of course. And so you use this time to work on it while the spotlight is on someone else. And when you're ready, I think the world will notice you.
If this episode helped, share it with another dance parent who needs to hear it, or leave us a comment. We read everyone. Thank you for being here.
Dream it, do it, and give it.
Bye.